What is up, YouTube? I hope you're having a superb day today, wherever you are in this world. My name is Ben, and in today's video, I have a fire one for you. I'm going to be talking about the whole Q4 plan. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what exactly Q4 is. For those that don't know what Q4 is, I'm going to be talking about the aim, strategy and results I achieved last Q4, because obviously the best way to predict the future is by looking at the past. Well, I'm going to be talking about which books sold best for me last Q4. I'm going to be talking about the types of books I'm going to be publishing this Q4, the ad strategy, the workflow and the goals I'm going to be setting for this Q4. And of course, I'm going to top it all off with my top tips for you on how to make the most of this Q4. So if you like videos like this, be sure to hit the like button underneath this video for me, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I bring out more videos like this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this video. So of course, if you're new to KDP, then before watching this video, I recommend you watch this one here. It's a free 2-hour tutorial on low content publishing. This is going to get you pretty much up to scratch with what I'm going to be talking about in this video. It's going to make a lot more sense. So if you haven't watched this one and you're completely new to KDP, go ahead and watch this. Should be linked in the top right hand side of this video. Now, first of all, we're going to be talking what is Q4. So Q4 is just a business term, and it refers to the last quarter of the year. So we're talking about October the 1st to December the 31st. Basically the months of October, November and December. Now, Q4 is special in the eyes of most merchants, in the eyes of most people that sell products, because these sales generally tend to pick up for the months between October and December. So what you will see is the sales of most books, not even just Christmas books. Most books in any topic will start to increase in October, and the sales will double to maybe 10 times over the December period. And this is going to be the peak sales period for most publishers. So in essence, they're going to be expecting a lot more sales in Q4 than all the rest of the quarters of the year. So that is why the prospect of a Q4 is so exciting for most publishers. Now, me personally, I've been through 2 Q4s already, one in 2019 and one in 2020. And each time it's just a really exciting period where you see, record amounts of your own books being sold. You get a record amount of royalty coming in to your business. And yeah, it's just a really, really fun period to be in, and to also see a lot of other people succeed as well. Everyone's posting in their Facebook community about how well their Q4 is going and everything. It's just a generally happy period. So if this is going to be your first time, then I envy you for the amount of excitement you're going to be feeling. But essentially, we're going to be looking at my last Q4, because for my last Q4, I made a video very similar to this, basically detailing the plan that I was going to do in terms of the books I was going to publish and things like that. So I'm going to take snippets of that last video from this time last year. And essentially, I wanted to publish 887 books to get my total books to 2,500 at the time. And these were the ACOS predictions that I was trying to aim for. And essentially, I started with this hard work for Q4 on the 6th of September, which is why I'm releasing this video now. Now, the types of books that I wanted to make last year were things like these. So if I can move my face somewhere a little bit more out of the way, maybe up here. There we go. So essentially, these are the books that I was kind of trying to go in for last year. So puzzle books, activity books, coloring books, trivia and joke books, diaries, planners, and notebooks. And on the right here, you can see the kind of quantities that I wanted to make for each type of book. These were the targets. These weren't the actual results that I got. But you can note that most of them are going to be notebooks. So a total of 875 new books onto the marketplace, plus 700 notebooks. Now, these weren't the only books, the only types of books that I published. I published other types of books as well onto Amazon, but these are the ones that I thought were going to do best for Q4 and the most time efficient to make. So there was a list of other types of books that I wasn't going to focus on for last year, and these were the ones. Not to say that these are bad in any kind, apart from the last one here, obviously. Just that I didn't think these were going to see an increase in sales. And in the case with high content, if you're not familiar with high content, then Q4 isn't the time to get into it. And of course, it takes a lot of resources to make high content books. So that's why I don't recommend doing it in the run up for Q4. So bearing all of that in mind, with the books that I did try to publish, these were the results I got. I managed to achieve my target for certain selection of books, but not other ones. So most notably, you can see notebooks. I only published 100 extra instead of 700. And that meant I only published 160 for last Q4. So I didn't hit the targets there, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, because my royalty last Q4 exceeded my expectations. So I wanted to break 5 figures for December, and in the end we got 12,300 in royalty, and over the course of Q4 that totaled $26,500 in royalty, which was really good. If you see the multiplier, you can see here this is September, and we're just going to assume September. There's no effect of Q4 on it whatsoever. I had no seasonal niches take off, so this is kind of our baseline here in September 2020. You can see October. For the start of October, most of it was very smooth, and then it started picking up towards the end, and we got a 25% increase from the baseline. November, it started going crazy. That's 150% increase, and in December that's 230%, 12,300 there, and that is a 3.3 times multiplier across all my books, which is absolutely crazy. Now, so I think it's really interesting to see that I actually did manage to get the results that I wanted in terms of royalty, and yet I didn't hit all the targets in terms of the types of books I wanted to make. So that's very interesting to see, and it's useful information for strategizing how we're going to tackle this Q4 as well. We're going to take all the information we got from last year's strategy, and we're going to come up with an even better plan in this video. So let's take a look at some of the types of books that sold best for me last Q4. And if we take that list that I put as my strategy for last Q4, these are the kind of results I got from each type of books. So the ones in green are the ones that I'm going to be focusing on the most. But at number 1, there's trivia and joke books, bringing us in $3,000 of royalty over the last Q4. The number 2 is coloring books, bringing us in a little bit less. And then number 3, puzzle books. So these 3 types of books I'm definitely going to be making. Now, with activity books, they also did really well, but they just took a long time to make. So with puzzle books, you can imagine that you can use software to create the puzzle book, and it's really easy and not very time consuming to do. But with activity books, you kind of need more time and resource to make a book. So that's why I think activity books were lower than the rest. Notebooks also did fairly well. I don't want to make it my primary strategy because I know there's going to be so much competition making notebooks as well on the Amazon marketplace. So if you're publishing just notebooks, it's going to be so hard and so much competition for you. Even though you will make some royalties with it, I think there's a lot more potential if you diversify across lots of different no content books as well. So using the sales data of the types of books that sold from last Q4 combined with the time and cost efficiency it takes to make these types of books, here are the types of books that I'm going to be focusing on publishing for this Q4. So of course we had to keep the 3 best-selling ones from last quarter 4 because they did so well, and it would be a wasted opportunity if I don't go for them again. I've ensured that I have processes in place to save as much time and money as possible when making these books. So for example, with puzzle books, there's systems in place like the software that I have, which I can talk about in a different video, that will help me create these types of books very efficiently with as less time and money as possible. So that's why we're trying to go for 50 this time, in time for Christmas. And it's the same with coloring books. Now I have a lot of virtual assistants in place that help me create these coloring books, because obviously I'm not a graphic designer myself, so I can't draw, but that's why these two we have on lock. Now trivia and joke books, we're going to try and aim for 10 of those, because these are going to be a lot harder to make and take more time. Activity books again take more time than puzzle and coloring books, so we're going to try and aim for 20. Obviously if we can go above these numbers, that's really good, but that's what we are going for. And of course notebooks, I still see the opportunity in notebooks, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of competition, but at the same time they're so easy to make. So if I stumble across good niches, I will be publishing in those. I don't want to be publishing in niches that I've already published in with notebooks, because I don't want to be spam the system with tons of notebooks in niches that I've already published. But if I find new ones, I will definitely publish in those. So 100 notebooks this quarter 4 is good for me. They're easy to make, and they sell for decent royalties when they do sell. So I'll be happy to publish notebooks, but they're not my main focus. So the ads strategy for quarter 4 is similar to how it is for the rest of the year. The biggest difference is that there are more customers on Amazon in quarter 4, and therefore more ad spend. So whereas for the rest of the year you can do 10 cents to 15 cents bids on your auto ads, for quarter 4 I recommend you do 20 cents for your auto ads. You want to adjust your bids to correspond with demand. So if you're publishing in a very competitive niche for Christmas, for example, say you're publishing a Christmas shopping planner, a Christmas present planner or something like that, you're going to have a lot of competition there, and therefore your auto ad bid probably needs to be even higher than 20, maybe 30 or 40 cents to get traction. But if you find a really good niche, then again, you can probably drop down to 15 cents, 10 cents for your auto ads and get some traction there. So I think 20 cents is a safe place to start during the quarter 4. Of course, you want to be closely monitoring your ads as well. The new ones you create, the ones that are already existing on your Amazon advertising account, because obviously over quarter 4 there's going to be more customers, there's going to be more advertisers as well, so it's going to be a lot more volatile in terms of the minimum bid for getting your ads out there. So one moment the bid for a certain keyword could be at a certain price, and then just a few hours later, a lot of advertisers come in and advertise against that keyword, and then suddenly the price goes up. So if you don't adjust with the times as well, you can either be left out, or you're paying too much, or generally you could just be unprofitable with your ads that were once profitable. So you want to closely monitor your advertisements. You want to check your ads, I'd say at least 2 to 3 times a week, if not even more. So if you're checking your ads very rarely, once a week throughout the course of the year, then yeah, you need to check them a lot more over quarter 4, because again, your ads could turn unprofitable in a matter of hours, and it can spend loads if you don't set decent budgets on your ads as well. So make sure you check them often. Advertise in every single marketplace as well. That's probably my top tip from advertising. So of course in the USA there's going to be a lot of saturated niches, but this may not be the case in, say, Canada, for example. So what may be a saturated niche in the USA may be not so saturated in Canada. So you want to make sure that you put your reach out to all English speaking countries, and even the other EU countries as well, because there might be demand there that you didn't know about. So advertise in every single marketplace if you can. Workflow and goals for quarter 4. So workflow, I'm going to be trying to reach 8 to 10 hours a day for quarter 4. Obviously if you're working full time somewhere, you have kids or something like that, then that's not going to be possible. Just spare as much time as possible for KDP that you possibly have to give yourself the best chance of earning as much money as possible. Try and find an environment and schedule that is most productive for you. I think the environment is very, very important when it comes to productive work. So I'd put my weight in trying to find something like a shared office if you don't have professional environment to go ahead and publish in, because it really, really does help. So you're going to want to utilize things as well that are going to speed up your workflow. So for example, you're going to want to outsource from Fiverr for things that you can't do. So for me, in that case, it's going to be coloring books because I'm not an artist or graphic designer. So it'd be really inefficient for me to make my own coloring books. Also, you're going to want to get book creation, niche research software, and things like that. If you want a list of the ones that I personally use, they're linked in the description below. But these are going to save you so much time, and they're going to help you find really good niches and save time with book creation. So if I give you an example of what my workflow is going to look like over the Q4 period. So this is time spent on KDP. There's learning here at the start, just learning how to do different things, learning from what I've done so far. Obviously interiors is going to be probably the biggest one by far, just because I have to make all these different types of interiors for all these different types of books that I'm going to be making. And I can see this being the biggest amount of time as it was last year. Then covers, not so much. Niche research is also going to be fairly big chunk of it. Managing, so, managing what my virtual assistants do, what people on Fiverr do, my advertising, just checking the ads and seeing if they're profitable, and then just general uploading of those books, filling out everything correctly on KDP. So this is what my workflow looks like. So if I can outsource any of that chunk there for interiors, so to software, to virtual assistants, to Fiverr, then that would be optimal for me, as long as it's cost efficient to do so. And likewise with niche research, if I can outsource some of that to make it quicker, to make it better, then again, that's going to be perfect. So that's kind of how I look at the workflow. So all in all, I can see myself splitting my time like this whilst I'm working on KDP, publishing those books. Most of it will be for interiors and niche research. Now for goals for Q4, you want to be ambitious with it. You just want to set yourself a number and try and hold yourself accountable to reach that number. So for me, that's going to be 40,000 between October and December this year, 7,000 in October, 13,000 in November, 20,000 in December. So I'm rooting for it to go above what it was last year, because I have been working throughout the year publishing more books. We have had some hiccups along the way, but generally we're moving in an upwards direction. So I would like for these numbers to be my target. And yeah, I think that's a nice realistic goal, because last year I got 26,000 and yet it's also very, very ambitious for me to go for, because it requires me to do those 8 to 10 hours a day that I've stated. So finally, my top tips for you all. So having taken everything from this video and just condensing it into some of the most important tips I think you should carry, if you're going to carry any tips forward, are these. So don't make notebooks your primary strategy. Unless you're okay with a few hundred over Q4 up to $1,000 in profit, try and diversify throughout low content or high content if you do high content as well. If you just do notebooks, you'll face fierce competition, and it's going to be very hard for you to make any considerable income by just doing notebooks. So look into other low content books, whether it's journals, whether it's diaries, whether it's coloring books and stuff like that. So don't make notebooks your primary strategy, in my personal opinion, as I think it's going to be a hard way for you to make good money over Q4. At least sprinkle in some other low content books into your portfolio. Now, tip number 2 is be open-minded and create books that many others won't. So most people just go through Amazon, search independently published books and try and replicate their success, and will normally shy away from big publishing houses such as Penguin Books, DK Books, and many others if they see them on the marketplace. Now my advice is, if you come across this book and you can make a book like this in a time or cost efficient manner, then I would say you should go ahead and do so and try and compete with these big publishing houses. Most people will shy away, so you'll have a lot less competition when it comes to doing so. And yeah, I've had success with that in the past, so that's definitely one of the top tips that I would give. So top tip number 3 is to check your ads at least 2 to 3 times a week, if not even more. Remember, it's a dynamic time for advertisers during Q4. The bids for certain keywords could change in a heartbeat, and once profitable ads may not be profitable in the space of a couple of hours. So you want to be on top of that. You want to keep your ads optimal, and you want to shut them off as soon as possible if they do become very unprofitable. And if you're checking it once a week, then you're going to lose a lot of money. So make sure you check your ads at least 2 to 3 times a week, if not every day, pretty much. Tip number 4 is to advertise in all marketplaces. So this one's fairly straightforward, but essentially, one niche could be saturated in the USA, but completely unsaturated in Canada, for example. So if you're just advertising in the USA, it's not going to be very cost effective for you. But then if you advertise in Canada as well, maybe the majority of your sales may actually come from Canada, may come from the UK, may come from Australia, or even countries within the EU, France, Italy. If you advertise it in there might be a demand for your book in all these different types of countries, and your customers will never know unless you advertise in all those marketplaces. So top tip number 5 is to start dedicating your time and efforts to Q4 as soon as possible. Now, of course, the earlier you start, the more books you can get up for Q4, and therefore the more sales you can make. Now, the most critical points I would say are between September and November. December's slightly too late to publish your books to make any considerable sales, because by the time your book is published in December, there's only a few days for it to sell before Christmas comes around the corner. So if you're going to publish for Q4, do it obviously as soon as possible. The sooner you start, the more books you can get up. But September to November will be critical. So try and make as much spare time as possible between those months to go ahead and publish books onto the marketplace. And finally, tip number 6 is to identify tasks that you are inefficient at and outsource them. So if you're doing something and it's not as efficient as it could be, or it's taking you longer than it's taking someone else, then see if there's a way to outsource the task or to make it more efficient. So for example, if you're making a word search and you're making it manually, so you're typing every single letter into the word search, then of course that's not the most efficient way. You're going to want to find ways to make that process a lot quicker for yourself. So for example, get a software that automatically generates the word search for you, and then therefore you'll be a lot more time effective in making the same book. So if you think of your time as money, then you'd be saving so much money. And that's how you should think of your time during Q4, especially during Q4, as well as other things. So make your inefficient processes more efficient by outsourcing them, whether it's to another person, whether it's to some software to do for you. That's also a very important one for you to remember. So those are my top 6 tips for your Q4 to be as productive and as successful as possible. Hopefully this video really helped you along your way in Q4. Hopefully this is a reminder for you to start as soon as possible to make as much sales as possible. If you do have any questions on this video, feel free to drop a comment below with the question. And if you haven't liked this video already, be sure to like. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to subscribe. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Ben, and have a really great day. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.